You probably felt it in your own organization. That sudden chilling moment. The momentum you had is just stalling. Maybe a key project hits a wall or, and this is worse, a key leader, the person everyone counts on, burns out. They just step away, and in that moment, you look around the room and the horrifying truth hits you. There's no one ready to step in.
It's the definition of a quiet crisis, and it happens far, far too often. And the organizational autopsy, it almost always says there was a lack of talent. But our sources suggest that's not really the full story. Not at all. The talent is almost certainly there. The people with genuine leadership potential are just hidden in plain sight.
And that's exactly why we're doing this deep dive. We're taking the data we've got and trying to shift the perspective completely. We have to stop seeing leader identification as just some competitive advantage, a nice to have. We need to see it as a survival strategy. So our mission today is to pull out these surprising truths and really to force ourselves to look beyond the resume, beyond the spotlight.
Exactly. If you're steering any kind of organization, a business, a ministry, even just a small team, your future depends on spotting tomorrow's leaders, today. The crisis doesn't begin when you run out of money. It begins when you're relying on these outdated assumptions that reward short-term wins, or when you equate what someone can do right now with what they're capable of becoming. We're going to sharpen your ability to see what most people miss.
Okay, so let's jump right into the most uncomfortable truth here, because this really challenges, every performance review I've ever been a part of. Why is it that the high performers, the people who execute perfectly, who hit all their targets, why are they so often not the future leaders we should be investing in? It feels completely backward.
It is the critical distinction, and it's where so many organizations go wrong. Let's break it down into two simple ideas. Performance versus potential. Performance proves competence. It shows what a person can do right now within the existing system.
They're the reliable engine.
Precisely. They get the job done. Potential, on the other hand, reveals capacity. It shows what they could become in the future, especially when things get more complex. A high performer nails their tasks. They deliver the quarterly report flawlessly.
But a high potential leader,
Yeah.
what are they doing differently?
They're doing something fundamentally different. They don't just execute the system, they start to question it. They see the whole picture, not just their little piece of it. They're handling relational complexity.
People problems.
Yeah, people problems, change, vision, not just checking boxes. And the cost of missing this is just huge.
Okay, so what is the consequence? What happens when we promote based only on performance?
We basically live out the Peter Principle. When you promote a high performer who lacks that underlying leadership potential, you end up with what our sources call great workers in roles that require great leaders. You take a brilliant coder and make them a miserable manager. They're great at the work, but they fail at leading the people now doing that work, and everyone suffers.
This is where it gets so interesting, because the sources we have show this isn't some new HR fad. This pattern of overlooking potential, it goes way, way back. It suggests that leadership, true leadership, almost never starts in the spotlight. It starts in obscurity.
It's a powerful, repeating pattern. You look at these ancient texts, and the most world-changing leaders, they are never the obvious choice. David was just a shepherd boy, the youngest, the one no one even thought to call in from the field. Gideon was literally hiding in a winepress, terrified. The founders of major faith traditions were, unschooled fishermen, despised tax collectors.
So the greatest potential is almost always hidden. It's still forming, way beneath the surface.
And the really profound truth here is that while potential might be a gift, recognizing that potential is the responsibility of current leaders, the emerging leaders themselves. They rarely see it fully at first. They need someone else, a mentor, a guide, to see it in them and to name it. That's the real work, seeing what everyone else is overlooking.
And those ancient instructions, they focus on continuity, right? It's not about finding a superstar for the next quarter.
Absolutely. Think about that advice from the mentor Paul to his protege Timothy. The model is 4 generations deep. Paul teaches Timothy, Timothy teaches faithful people, and those faithful people teach others. The focus is on faithfulness, character, teachability. Not charisma, not instant results. It's all about building for the long haul, which means you have to spot that next generation before they're even on anyone's radar.
So if these people are right in front of us, why do we keep missing them? Why are leaders so bad at this? Let's talk about the blind spots, the human tendencies that just steer us wrong time and time again.
We are just plagued by biases, and mostly it's because we prefer what's comfortable and familiar over the frankly, messy work of spotting real capacity.
Let's start with the flashiest one.
The charisma bias. We hunt for loud, stage-ready charisma instead of quiet, steady character. I mean, charisma is instant. It's flashy. It makes a leader feel good about their pick. But character is built in private. Remember the story of Samuel looking for a new king? He sees Eliab, David's tall, impressive brother, and immediately thinks, that's him. But he gets corrected. Humans see the outside, but true insight means looking at the heart.
But wait, if we totally ignore charisma, aren't we just picking people who can't command a room?
Uh,
Don't leaders need some kind of visible presence?
That's a fair question. The bias isn't against charisma itself, it's against making it the top priority. What you should be looking for is quiet influence. Do people naturally gravitate to them? Do they listen when this person speaks, even without a title? That's way more valuable than just a big personality. Charisma is a multiplier, sure, but character is the foundation.
That's a key distinction.
Okay.
What's the next bias?
The familiarity bias. This one is subtle but powerful. We gravitate to people who look, think, and act like us, people who validate our own way of doing things. And that creates massive blind spots. It's the classic story of a prophet being rejected in his hometown. The people who knew him as a carpenter's son just couldn't see him as a leader. Familiarity bred contempt, or at least undervaluation.
So if your team is full of people who think just like you, you're probably suffering from this bias.
100%. And third is the conformity bias. This is a killer in big organizations. We reward the people who don't rock the boat, the ones who keep the system running smoothly. But real emerging leaders, they often ask tough questions. They challenge the way things are done, and we see them as disruptive or difficult, not as discerning.
We want peace, but leadership often requires a little necessary friction.
Precisely. And the last one, the activity bias. You see this everywhere in our hustle culture. We confuse being busy with being fruitful. The person who's always running around answering emails at midnight, looking exhausted, we reward them for their dedication. But the real question is, are they actually making an impact? Or are they just confusing motion with mission? Busyness is easy to see. True fruitfulness takes a much closer look.
Okay, so if we manage to strip away all these biases, the flash, the familiar, the compliant, the hyperactive, what are the quiet signals we should actually be looking for? What's the leadership DNA?
We can boil it down to 4 core markers, and these aren't skills you can just learn in a weekend workshop. They're conditions of the heart.
Here was the first one.
Initiative.
Yeah.
This is the person who steps up without being asked. They see a problem, and they don't wait for permission to start solving it. When everyone else is hesitating, waiting for direction, they take responsibility. They own it. That's David running toward Goliath. He saw a problem and stepped into the gap. Initiative signals ownership.
They see a need and meet it, no matter their job title.
Yeah.
What about number 2?
Teachability. This is absolutely non-negotiable. These are people who are humble, curious, eager to learn. But here's the real test. They can take correction without getting defensive. They can admit what they don't know. And this is where so many high performers get stuck. Their success makes them unteachable, and that puts a hard ceiling on their potential.
That makes so much sense. Success can create an arrogance that kills growth.
It really can. Third is influence. And notice I'm saying relational gravity, not positional authority. They don't need a title for people to listen to them. People just naturally seek their input, trust their judgment. Think about Joseph in the Bible. He gained influence even as a prisoner. His integrity gave him authority long before a title ever did.
So it's earned respect, not mandated.
Exactly. And the fourth, which holds it all together, is character, integrity, consistency, faithfulness, especially when nobody's watching. This is the moral compass. Without it, talent is a liability. Influence becomes dangerous. You have to know that the person you're promoting can manage their own life well before you trust them with the lives of others.
So we need to move past guesswork. If a leader listening to this wants to put it into practice tomorrow, how do they do it? How do they make it concrete?
They need a structured tool, something like a Leader Scout checklist. It's designed to calibrate your observations against these traits, to surface that hidden potential. And this isn't a once-a-year form. It's about intentional, frequent observation.
And what would that checklist track beyond those 4 markers?
It has to track how they handle failure. Do they bounce back? Do they show resilience? It tracks their curiosity. Are they asking insightful questions? And critically, their response to feedback. Do they seek it out? Do they apply it quickly? Basically, are they a learner? And are they dependable? It turns leader identification from a lottery into a search.
Can you ground this in a real story? What does it look like when a leader finally realizes they've been missing someone?
Yeah, think of the story of Michael, a youth ministry director. For years, he was praying for God to send him leaders. And in his mind, that meant someone charismatic, a great speaker, ready for the stage. But his most reliable, high-potential person was a volunteer named Anna. She was the one quietly setting up chairs every week, praying for students by name, and she was the one students went to when they were hurting. She never asked for the mic.
He was looking for the loud talent and completely missing the quiet character.
Totally. He was looking for a finished product, and he missed the person who was actually growing. He said later, I kept asking God for leaders, and he kept sending them. I just wasn't paying enough attention to see them. Missed potential isn't just an oops, it's a strategic loss. If you want one single predictor, one question to ask, forget everything else and just ask this about someone you're observing. Is this person growing?
Is this person growing?
Yeah.
That's so simple but so powerful.
It's everything. Growth after a mistake, growth after feedback, growth with new responsibility. That trajectory is the single greatest evidence of potential.
So really, this all comes down to a fundamental shift in how we look at people. We have to stop being so impressed by the polished performance right now and start discerning what's being formed for the future.
And that means you have to challenge your own comfort zone. Because potential is almost never on the surface, it's embryonic, it's often hidden inside a weakness, a vulnerability. I mean, Moses, one of the greatest leaders in history, apparently stuttered. Peter was impulsive and failed spectacularly. The capacity was hidden right there, inside the imperfection.
So the challenge for you, for anyone listening, is this. Who is the quiet problem solver, the dependable person, the thoughtful questioner you cross paths with just this week? And what's one intentional step you're going to take to look past the surface and see the capacity that's just waiting to be developed?